Please note, this training video reflects the Mac Pro system as of March 2016. And now we're going to review the clarification process. But before we go into the system, we're going to go over what to expect if CMS sends you a clarification request, which is known as an unlock in the MMDL system following the submission of an official submission package. So first I'm going to note that there is a little key at the bottom. The first two boxes are from the CMS perspective, and the second half of this is for the state. So first, the CMS point of contact writes questions to the state in the correspondence log related to the clarification request. Then, the CMS point of contact initiates the clarification and returns the submission package to the state. The state point of contact receives the package in their task list and notice that the correspondence log was updated. The state point of contact then reads the correspondence log message from CMS. At this point, the state point of contact determines if the package needs to be updated. If so, the state point of contact responds to the CPOC or CMS point of contact in the correspondence log accordingly and updates the package. If not, the state point of contact responds to the questions in the correspondence log and does not modify the package. Once the clarification questions are resolved, the state point of contact returns the submission package to CMS for continued review. As a reminder, the clarification process does not stop the 90-day clock. And let's go into the system to take a look at this process. So now we're moving back into the training environment, and we're going to go to our to-do list. Our task list, similar to a to-do list. And I'm silly, we need to log in as the help desk state point of contact. And again, our unfortunate parents named us Help Desk State SPOC Iowa, assuming that this username is our first and last name. And now we're logging in. And again, because our name is so long, there's a lot of margin for error, so we're going to try it one more time. And I am making fun of these because I created them. It is my fault they are like this. And let's assume at this point that CMS had been reviewing one of our official submission packages, and they noticed that we had a small issue in one of our reviewable units. It required a relatively small change that could be completed in a short period of time by our state. Rather than initiating an RAI or request for additional information, CMS submits a clarification. This sends the package back to the state and offers you, as the state, the opportunity to respond to the request. Again, this would be considered an unlock in MMDL, and it does not stop the 90-day clock. If your state receives a clarification request, the state point of contact who submitted the package will receive an email notification letting he or she know that they have a clarification task in their task list. Let's move to the correspondence log to see what CMS documented for this request. As we discussed previously, the correspondence log is an official record of communication between CMS and the state. This is where CMS will write what their questions are or where there is an issue that needs to be updated. Communication that occurs elsewhere in Mac Pro, such as within the newsfeed, is not the official record accompanying the submission package. I have heard an analogy before that the newsfeed is similar to a Snapchat, for those of you who use that application, in that you can see it for a little bit, but it's not something that you're using as your official record because eventually it will go away. So to get to the correspondence log, go to the Records tab on the upper toolbar and then select your state-only submission packages. And then we're going to select the package ending with 0010O for official. There we go, yep, that one. And this takes us to the familiar package summary page. And now let's take a look at the correspondence log to understand why CMS initiated a clarification. And as described before, the clarification process is similar to an unlock in MMDL. It is a means for the state to make quick updates to the submission package without stopping the 90-day clock. It looks like CMS was wondering why we did not discuss some information in our executive summary. We ended up talking to our CMS contact over the phone and discussed the content we included. After touching base with CMS, we determined that what was written is acceptable and more information does not need to be included. We now should document this discussion or decision in the official package record or correspondence log by adding an entry to the correspondence log. So we're going to, in the upper right hand corner, we're going to select add entry to correspondence log. In the reference subject, we're going to enter clarification response. And then we're going to enter we discussed over the phone and determine no changes were needed to the submission summary, executive summary portion. That's perfect. There we go, getting our information across. When complete, select Add Entry to Correspondence Log. Our entry has now been added to the correspondence log, the official record of communication, and the CMS point of contact also received an email notification with our message. So now to update the executive summary portion, we would go to our task list and select the task, but we're not updating. We're just going to go there to return the package to CMS since we're not updating that section. So we're going to go to the Tasks tab, then select Respond to Clarification, which is at the bottom of the page for the package ending in 10. Again, this is the training environment. We have a few things going on in here. We'll scroll to the bottom of the page, select Take Action on Package, yes, and we're going to submit the submission package to CMS. If modifications were needed, we would have selected Modify the Return Submission Package. We also had the option to return the submission package to the state editor for their revision. Now that we're going to be sending this back to CMS, we're going to select Execute Action and Yes. This returns the package to CMS for their continued review on the same policy clock as the original official submission. CMS will receive a notification letting them know that the package has been resubmitted. Now we're going to hop back to the PowerPoint and we're going to continue forward. This shows a general review of what we just did in the system. Like some of the previous slides, this is included for your future reference. And next we're going to review what to expect during the RAI process, which is similar to the clarification process but slightly different. And again, the left side of, if you look at the key, there's some different coloring going on. And the left side of this flowchart is for CMS actions and the right side is for state actions. So first, the CMS point of contact and or the submission review team recommend RAI or request for additional information within their review tool in Mac Pro. Then, the CMS point of contact takes action on the package and initiates RAI. The CMS point of contact completes the RAI form and returns the submission package to the state. Then, the state point of contact receives the submission packages and RAI form in their to-do list. At this point, the state point of contact determines if the package needs to be updated based on the information asked in the RAI form. If so, the state point of contact modifies the package accordingly and responds to the questions within the REI form. If not, the state point of contact responds to the questions in the REI form and does not modify the package. Once the REI form and any modifications to the submission package are complete, the state point of contact returns the submission package and REI form to CMS. A new 90-day policy clock begins at this point. So let's go back into the system to take a look at these steps. So first, you will receive an email and a task in your task list letting you know that CMS has returned the submission package to you for an REI. Like an MMDL, the REI stops the 90-day clock and can only be used once per submission. The REI differs from a clarification in that the REI stops the policy clock and that the REI includes an REI form where CMS lists specific questions and direction within an REI form regarding how the package needs to be updated prior to an approval. With the addition of the REI form in Mac Pro, your state will no longer receive an REI letter. Let's now select the task, Respond to REI, for the package ID ending in 11-0. This takes us to a page where we may respond to the REI request. Our package information is at the top of the page, including the package ID, which is the auto-generated letter and number combination used to track the submission package, the program name, SPA ID, version number, the submitter, the submission type, state, region, package status, submission date, REI period, and review status. So the REI period says 90 days remaining, mostly because we made this very recently. The audit information and the reviewable units are also listed below. If we scroll further down, we will see a button to view or respond to REI. We're going to select that button. And we see that we have one question from CMS related to our submission package. As a disclaimer, this question is strictly for training purposes. It is likely that you may receive a greater number of more complex questions in a real-life REI request. So let's respond to the question by selecting the question number in the left side of the table. We see there is a reference, in this case, the Health Home Payment Methodologies, and a question. Please expand on your description of how non-duplication of payment will be achieved. And then there's a policy or regulation cited. At this point, I don't quite remember what was originally written in this field. So let's go and take a look at that reviewable unit. We can do so from this page by right-clicking on the View Entire Package link and selecting Open in a new tab. As a reminder, it's suggested that you use multiple tabs in Mac Pro. It's suggested that when you use multiple tabs in Mac Pro, you edit your information in one tab and use the other tab as a reference. Also, be sure to keep your tabs within one browser window, and once you're finished with your reference tab, be sure to close it. So we can now view the package in the other tab to remember what was written in the Payment Methodologies Reviewable Unit. The Records tab that we were taken to starts on the submission summary for this package. We can see on the timeline our package is in REI, the package information, and we can see some visual representation of the submission package status history. We want to view a specific reviewable unit, so to do so we will need to make a selection on the left-hand toolbar. As you can see, there are several options. And we're going to select reviewable units. Select Health Homes Payment Methodologies. And this takes us to this page. And then we're going to view all responses and scroll towards the bottom of the page to look at what we wrote in the describe below how non-duplication of payment will be achieved. Now that we've refreshed our memory, refreshed our memory, where was I? Now that we've refreshed our memory, as I say that over and over again, we can close this tab and return to the REI question to respond to CMS in the REI form. We're going to write in the state response. We will expand our information in that section to include X, Y, and Z. And once we're finished typing that, we're going to select Save Response. Please note you will need to click out of the text box for that Save button to become available. As you can see, once we click out of the text box, the Save Response becomes available. Next, indicate yes, the submission package was updated by the state in accordance with the response. This response to REI form may be filled out prior to editing or after. In this case, we did it before and are now going to go edit the field in the package. So select Return to Package Summary. Then select Take Action on the Package at the bottom of the page, and yes. We're going to select Modify the Return Submission Package. You also have the option to return the submission package to the state editor for revision or to submit the REI response to CMS. Not all REI responses require edits to the package, although most do. Then select Execute Action and yes. Once we refresh our task list, we see that we now have a task to respond to REI. For the package ending in 11O, not a 0, that's an O. This time we have the ability to edit the reviewable units. So select Health Home's Payment Methodologies and view all responses. If we scroll down, in the describe below how non-duplication of payment will be achieved, we're going to enter, so we have description and additional information, and then we're going to put and X, Y, and Z. Then we're going to revalidate this page, which is very important. It will not be marked as complete unless it is revalidated. And then we're going to select Save Reviewable Unit. This page is now complete again. Let's now return to the package summary by selecting Return to Package Summary at the bottom of the page. Then we will select Take Action on the Package again at the bottom of this page and select Yes. Then select Submit REI Response to CMS. The submission package does not need to be recertified by the state director after this change, but we encourage you to make sure your state is in agreement and understands the changes prior to resubmission. Additionally, if you would prefer to double check with CMS prior to submission, you may allow CMS to view briefly prior to resubmitting to ensure that enough information was added to the description like we reviewed a bit earlier. Then select Execute Action and Yes. This returns us to our task list, and we no longer have a task related to REI for the package ending in 11O. We're now going to briefly return to the PowerPoint before we move on in the system. This next slide includes what we just reviewed in the system. Now, once CMS approves a submission package, the state point of contact will receive an email notification and receive a task in their task list to acknowledge the package receipt. Now, this package is for South Carolina. We just wanted to mix it up for you guys. South Carolina is, again, this is not a reflection of South Carolina in this training, and this is only being used for training purposes. the state point of contact can see that the submission was approved by the symbol that looks like a check mark in a green circle. In the system, if you hover over this, it would say approved. The SPOC then can acknowledge the approved submission package and execute the action. I'm going to pause at this point to see if there are any questions before we move on.